Father, it is by your mercy I'll be able to raise this child. Not, I know I will raise my child. God forbid that my child becomes an armed robber. You know how many sincere, serious missionaries who invested in raising other people, when it got to their own children, everything you know to mentor a child properly, they did, and the child still became an armed robber. How do you explain Judas being mentored by Jesus? How do you explain Satan as Jesus's creation becoming Satan? Are we together now? You would think an excellent God should be so flawless in his creation, and his all-knowing ability should have pre-informed him that somewhere along the economy of his creation there could be a possibility. He would have programmed that in creating them. Yet a third of the angels fell, and he still remains God. Yet Satan, his creation, has become the arch enemy of his program and his purposes today. Judas, the one who was responsible for the bag, lost three things I've taught you. He lost the money, he lost his place, his bishopric, and he lost his life. Ladies and gentlemen, I submit to you that it is by the mercy of God that we thrive and excel. You are in ministry here, you are in business. I want you to know that you must perpetually walk in the consciousness that all we are and all that we have is by and large a product of God's mercy. Hallelujah. I told you about a gentleman years ago. This guy fasted, that's the longest I've seen that I know. He fasted for 400 days, 6 to 6. 400 days. I wrapped up the last day with him. And after that guy wrapped it up, he started suffering. And now you are wondering, I'm looking at my life and say, if it is by the investment of spiritual things, some of us should not be where we are. But Lord, for your mercy. You see, the awareness of God, the administration of God's mercy is what brings thanksgiving, genuine thanksgiving. Where would I be if you left me now? Where would I be if you left me now? Where would I be if you left me now? Where would I be if you left me now? There are many of us, based on the kind of training you gave your children should almost be, respectfully speaking, they should not attain onto the level they now have. But the mercy of God caused that when your children left you, God brought prophets and apostles to cover them. They served as midwives, so that the adults you now have are not the children. The trajectory of your training should not produce those kind of champions. But the mercy of God, the mercy of God. Some of you, you saw idols eat up your family members, and it's not like you were more spiritual. One of the ones that died was even a pastor while you were an unbeliever, but God meandered you through a crusade, and here you are today standing. Where would I be if you left me now? Where would I be if you left me now? Mephibosheth, when you get to the palace, do not forget that you were that crippled young man at Lodebar. It took the mercy of God for David to bring you. So do not laugh at Ziba. Ziba had 15 sons and not one of them was favored. They were made to walk and serve Mephibosheth. He was a product of a wrong midwife. A midwife made a mistake at his birth and crippled him. He would have remained like that, but God showed him mercy. Mephibosheth, when they bring you to the palace, I know you can act pious, But when you stay a few weeks in the palace, do not allow the memory of where you came from to be so eroded that you lose touch. That was the mistake of Vashti. She forgot that the only reason why she was queen was that she married a king, not because she was a warrior over 127 provinces. She only married a great man. That's what made her a great woman. And she now created a camp and an empire for herself outside of the influence of the king, and she lost her place. Esther was about to make the same mistake when Mordecai said, don't make that mistake. Haman is about to annihilate the Jews, and don't you sit there and act, you were a village girl in Shushan. Don't forget the purpose for your attaining that glory. Hear me, let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, when doors open, be ever conscious of the mercy of God. Do not allow the beauty of the palace to make you look down on others and forget that it was mercy that took you there. Man of God, do not celebrate your ministry and go around sarcastic and being sarcastic and insult people. Shame on this one, small church. Oh, you have forgotten that it takes many years for a building to rise, but in minutes that building can crumble. Listen carefully. You have now become a multi-millionaire. You have now become a billionaire. And you look at everybody and they are like pieces of rag. I'm reminding you that if you want to experience deliverance, you must know how to call for mercy and live in the atmosphere of mercy. My life today is a product of God's mercy. Look at me. This is all of me. There are some things that cannot be done by men except God assist a man. Nicodemus came to Jesus in John 3 by night and said, Rabbi, we know that thou art a man sent from God. He said, for no man can do these things except God be with him. There are some results men cannot produce, ladies and gentlemen. And in the presence of this plenty, the tendency is that we want to savor the glory and make it look as though it came as a product of our intelligence. For as long as I am breathing, I will let the world know. It is true that he has helped us to pay our price in various places. But I tell you, it will be foolish of me to stand here and beat my chest to tell you everything you see is a reflection of intelligence. No. I'm the one. You have shown mercy. You have shown me mercy. You have shown me mercy. I'm the one, say, you have shown mercy. You have shown me mercy. You have shown me mercy. Sing, I'm the one, say, you have shown mercy. You have shown me mercy. You have shown me mercy. Listen, years ago I went somewhere and I went to preach for a man of God, and when I was done preaching, I was headed to his office and I saw a gentleman who was walking as part of the protocol. He looked at me and I looked at him and I was in shock. Many years ago on campus, that guy used to be a very strong person, very vibrant and powerful. If you saw that gentleman, you would think he would explode in a global ministry within 2 years. And here was this, my dear brother, didn't seem like the best of states, seemed like someone who had been beaten by life and frustrated. I was almost tempted to say, what happened? Then I remembered. Man, these guys were vibrant. When I say, you know what it means? Campus vibrancy is with the infancy of spiritual work. So you put your energy to it. You look beyond me, oh. And poured your love. You look beyond me, oh. You look beyond me, oh. Sing, I'm the one, say, I'm the one. You have shown mercy. You have shown me mercy. You have shown me mercy. Hear me. Thank God God for these great people that God has blessed me with. But I remember the crowd that was in Jesus's ministry. They were the same people who said, crucify him. So the larger they are, the more the voices that can say crucify you. You will need to cry for mercy. Cry for mercy. And say, Lord, not by our righteousness, but it is by your grace. The deliverance power of God comes in response to a cry for mercy. Apostle, right now I do not even know. I am a man of God, but my family members have not eaten. Things have gone haywire in my life. What you need is a cry for mercy. You can cry the mercy of God to come and become a bailout system in your life. I can tell you.